Loose, or floating tenons, are a great alternative to traditional mortise and tenon joinery. They're just as strong, they're faster to execute, and they allow you to simplify more complex, angled versions of the joint. Our loose tenons start at the short spin, where we keep narrow strips cut away from previous projects. Most shops would throw away small pieces like these, but we utilize every bit of wood and select from these to create our tenon stock. Next, we head over to the table saw and rip the stock to the desired width. Then, I find the center of the stock by measuring from one face, flipping the rule around, and measuring from the other face. Over at the bandsaw, we follow the center line to saw the thick stock into two thinner pieces. This process is called resawing. It literally yields twice as much wood from each piece of stock. At the planer, I install an auxiliary bed, which helps to reduce snipe, resulting in a cleaner, more consistent cut. I adjust the planer to the desired height, taking into account the thickness of the auxiliary bed. Then I plane the resawn pieces to thickness, while at the same time cleaning up the rough sawn faces left from the bandsawing operation moments ago. Butting the pieces against one another while feeding them helps to produce snipe even further. Over at the router table, I install a 1/8 inch radius roundover bit into the router's collet. And I adjust the height of the bit so the beginning of the radius is dead even with the top of the router table. I bring the faces of my fence close to the bit, and I adjust the fence forward until it's even with the router bit's bearing. Next, I feed the pieces along the bit, flipping end for end and side to side, in order to round over all four edges. These pieces are thin and small, so I use push blocks for safety. Now my thin square stock has rounded edges, which will match up perfectly in a mortise made by a router. Next, I grab my crosscut sled and head back over to the table saw. I measure off how long I want my loose tenons to be. In this case, 1.5 inches long. Then I clamp a stop block in place. Nothing real fancy here, just a scrap of wood and a clamp do the trick. Now I cut the tenons to length. It's important to hold the tenon stock down firmly so it doesn't wedge between the spinning blade and the stop block. Again, nothing fancy is needed for this. A pencil does the trick. Be sure to stay focused. Cutting all of these tenons can get tedious. But remember, there's 3 horsepower spinning carbide steel at 5,000 RPMs right in front of you. It doesn't take long to make a bunch of these, does it?